What's happening, guys? Welcome back to Medical Football. Welcome back to another episode of the Manchester United Fans Corner. I'm your host, Shegun. And guys, a lot of discussions today. We know what has happened with Kobbie Mainoo. We know what has happened with Bruno Fernandes in terms of injury. This period is a very tough period for United. Really, a very tough period. I think for months we have been talking about the AFCON in terms of the fact we're going to lose Bryan Mbeumo, Amad Diallo, and Noussair Mazraoui. And now it looks as if our lot has gotten worse with the fact that Bruno is out on injury, at least looking at a month. And then we're also looking at, Kobbie Mainoo for almost the same period. So it's looking very, 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 very bleak for us. Really, very, very, very bleak. And so we have to find solutions because we are being dealt a very, very bad hand at the moment. But, football has to continue. We have games to play and we have to look at solutions. So what I'll be doing today is looking at our midfield options, especially the midfield options. And let's see how we can find solutions. Let's see how we can find solutions in terms of what do these midfield options offer us? What don't they offer us? Because they're not perfect players, right? What do they offer us? What don't they offer us? What are the sites where we need to be very careful when we are using them, right? What are the sites that we gain, when we are using them? And also we're looking at the fact of what do they bring to us defensively? What do they bring to us attacking wise? Because if you look at the last game, that was a game against Aston Villa. The fact was after Bruno Fernandes' injury, yes, we had composure in our midfield in terms of Martinez came and brought that calm and composure and was passing penetrative passes. But the fact is we lost that bite because of Bruno is out. We lost that bite on the attacking front. So it's always going to be good to analyze what they bring to us attacking and defensive, right? So let's analyze. So I'll take it one by one. Let me start with Casemiro. I think Casemiro obviously will be back into the fold. I hope he doesn't have injury. I hope, because this injury period, this AFCON period is a very, 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 very funny period. And I hope we're able to scale through at least getting a lot of 3 points in this period, because we actually need it so that we don't fall behind. And so for Casemiro, I think obviously looking at the way our setup is and the midfield options we have, I believe Casemiro is the only one we can trust currently. That's in between Casemiro, Ugarte, and even Lisandro Martinez. I think Casemiro is the one we can trust to give us an edge in terms of pushing forward, really. Because when you look at Casemiro's game, and not just even this season, when you look at Casemiro's game, even under Erik ten Hag, even when we were playing a 4-3-3 in the midfield, Casemiro has that tendency to push even from his normal position to push forward. And so when you look at this season, I look at some of the matches we watched, like even against Brighton, for example, when you look at it, even against Bournemouth in the first half, you see that Casemiro has the ability to push us forward as a team, right? And to play in certain upward positions, right? So I think we will be depending on him to be the one, in my opinion, to be the one to push higher. But as I said that now, the downside to that is the fact that we should not expect to get Casemiro for more than 45 minutes. So each game, I think we should just bank on 45 minutes of high intensity from Casemiro. And in the halftime, we have to make changes. That's the issue. Because after the 45 minutes, as you saw against Bournemouth, after the 45 minutes of that high intensity run, we might not have the same Casemiro for the second half, right? Or we will not even have, because we already know what we were expecting. We will not even have. So we have to look at the fact that if he does that job for us, we have to just ensure that, it's just for the 5 minutes. So also, but he can be helped also in that forward movement with the likes of Mason Mount, the likes of Matheus Cunha. Matheus Cunha, as we said, in the last game, had the ability to come deep, carry the ball, push forward. But it's not every game you get to do that, because if you look at Aston Villa, as I said, the spine of Aston Villa was weak. That's why Cunha was able to do that. But when you meet different oppositions that are strong there, you will not be able to do that. So we have to find that balance in terms of how Casemiro pushes forward and how the two number 10s or the two inside forwards also assist in that forward and backward movement. So, but another thing about Casemiro that is going to add to our team is the fact that it's going to help us in the verticality of our play. Because look at that second half against Aston Villa, we lacked a little bit of verticality. It's not that we're not vertical, but we should be more vertical when we have a Bruno Fernandes. That's one of the things he gives us in terms of the way, the edges, using our angles well, right? So, but Casemiro also can do that. So it's someone that also you can see has the ability to put a long pass across and to make us to use the verticality of our play. Yes, I know it's not up to the level of a Bruno Fernandes, but he can give us that edge, because we need that edge, especially in games where we are playing in Old Trafford, because we are using wing backs. So I'll talk about the wing backs also, but we're using wing backs, and more or less we need them. We need them this period more than ever. We think we need the wing backs more than ever. So let's go to. I've said what Casemiro brings. I've said the downside to Casemiro. He says we can only get him for 45 minutes, right? Especially in cases where he might likely get a yellow card, as we all know Casemiro in the first half. So 45 minutes, I think we should start thinking of making changes. Let's go to Lisandro Martinez. Lisandro Martinez, for me, obviously brings the calm, obviously brings the penetrative passes. But I feel that one thing we'll get from him is, obviously, as I said, the composure, the control. But also it depends on the opponent, right? It depends on the opponent. And for example, we are playing Newcastle next. I want to see how Licha is able to control the midfield against a very high intense, not just intense, but physical team as Newcastle. And we're having more physical teams. And also, I think what he brings is control. Another thing Licha brings, but I think we need to see more from him, it's not just the penetrative passes, but also the range of passes, which I know he has, to look up and cut it, verticality. He needs to help us to do that. So he needs to help us to know, and I think he's a very, very intelligent player, as we all know. So ability to, as a defender also, he has got into those situations where he can put a long one across. I think he needs to help us with that. He needs to help us with that. So, but I think also for the other side of things about Licha is that he has to, first of all, he's an intelligent player, but there are a lot of things that Licha has to learn as soon as possible. I know, we saw the fantastic display against Aston Villa, but that was Aston Villa and they had issues, in that center of the park. So, but we're meeting teams that are tougher there. So one of the things I think, first of all, he needs to understand is our defensive shape. He needs to help us with our defensive shape in terms of transition moment, right? Transition moment, the position where it needs to be, while at the head of that spare in our defensive moment to help us, to give us an extra man, to give us the right shielding, right? He needs to understand that. And also, I think we also need to be very careful now, because if Licha starts in that position, we'll definitely have teams that will try, because it's the Premier League, and one thing about the Premier League is that people look for advantages in the tiniest things. They will try to have second ball situations against Licha. So it's going to be the goalkeeper playing it long to Licha. I know, yes, people might say, Licha has settled that when he was a defender, about people trying to use aerial situations to bully him. But the fact is, it's different when you're dealing with an aerial ball as a defender, where you can just, right? And it's also different when you're dealing with aerial ball as a midfielder. Because as a defender, you can position yourself, and when you know the ball, you might not be cautious about what's at your back, right? But as a midfielder dealing with an aerial ball, you have to be conversant about what is in front of you and what is behind you. So that is very, 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 very important. So I think we have to see him and how he deals with that situation, because I'm expecting that managers will look at that and want to try it. Okay, can we get a second ball situations against Lisandro Martinez? And so we have to look at that aspect of the game. Also, we have to look at it in terms of, it's not natural disposition is to control the game, because when you look at Luka, he's a calm guy, very, very technically gifted player. But in situations where he's not able to calm the game as much, because some games are you just need a midfielder in itself to calm the game, right? So let's also assume that when we don't get it, how then do we survive when it is back and forth, right? How then do we survive with him? So I think there are a lot of questions that we also need to ask, even though I believe, yes, he definitely can play that role. And I believe, but also look at it that we also have to ask questions because of what other teams will try, right? What other teams will try to get one or two advantages. Let's move to Manuel Ugarte. Ugarte, for me, I think Ugarte for me has to just be decent when we put him as a sub. That's my opinion. I think I really want Ugarte to succeed, because I'm not a person that will now come and say he should not succeed in Man United. I want to give him all the best support that I can give him while he's still at the club. But the fact is, sometimes when you watch Ugarte play, you just know that it's not going to work. I hope, and this is a period for him to step up, really. This is a period for him to step up because there are some games where he will get to play depending on the opponent and what the opponent can offer in terms of what they're going to use to alter. So we also look Ugarte to counter those things. So, but I think he has to step up. We need Ugarte to step up in this period. And for me, I think it will be good for his United career because I believe it's not over until it's over. It's not over until you sign on the dotted line to leave the club. So who knows? This period might be a period for Ugarte to pick up and become the man Ugarte we all saw at Sporting Lisbon, right? Or Sporting Lisbon, Sporting CP. So I feel that I hope he does because I feel he just has to be more confident when on the ball. More confident, don't waste time on the ball, make the quick decisions on the ball, make quick, intelligent decisions on the ball, be very aggressive with the tackles, cover ground. He needs to just do those things. I think if he does those basics, I feel this period will be appreciative of him, right? Will be very appreciative of him. And I think the beauty in Ugate's game is doing the basics well, defend well, and release the ball as quick as possible to those who can make use of the ball. So I think if he does that, we will really appreciate him. We really, really appreciate it because we need him. He's fit currently, and I think we need him as a player. So I think in this period, looking at the situation of our midfield, we also have to be very, very now looking at and be very cautious about the fact that we have to make sure that our box in midfield, that the box comprises of the likes of Mason Mount, Matheus Cunha, Casemiro, or maybe Lisandro Martinez. Let's assume that's what we start with. So that box. I think we need help in terms of midfield activities from the likes of Mount, which we have had this season. And we also need help from midfield activity in terms of holding the ball and passing the ball around from the likes of Matheus Cunha, right? So we need that help, that cohesiveness from that box in the midfield. But also, when we have that cohesiveness, right? Because without cohesiveness, we all know that we're lacking from wing play, right? When we have that cohesiveness in midfield to help us to do business centrally, we know we are also suffering in the wing play because of the likes of Amad and Mbeumo that are not around. So I think in this period, we need our wing backs to be superb. We need our wing backs to be beasts. Diallo was disappointing against Aston Villa. I keep saying it. I don't know why people are not seeing it. So I don't know. But I saw it and I was disappointed with what he did. Marking and even his decisions on the ball. So I think he has to get better because everybody has to step up. In this period, we have to step up. If not, this season is going to go to hell. We have to step up. Dogu had some decent plays, but his delivery was poor against Aston Villa for most parts. So he also has to do well. He also has to do well. Be a beast. I like the fact that at certain moment he was running to the byline because we need more of that. Because our play now is now central, right? Cunha, Mount. They like to do things. They're not so confident, doing it on that edge. So, but we need our wing backs to hit it home. We need our wing backs to hit it home, really. So, Dogu and Diallo, or maybe even Malacia, right? We need you guys to just step up for us. This period, we need you guys. Our midfield now is even more in a very crazy situation that those two guys, that's the inside forwards, we have to help us there. So, we need you guys to provide the width. And most times, as I said, the verticality of our play will mostly be going to the wing back. So we need them to be very intrusive. We need them to be very, very, penetrative in their runs and to hot teams, really hot teams, not just in crosses, hot backs, not just in cutbacks, also taking moment to even drive in and take a shot. Because we might have those moments. So I feel we need everybody to step up in this period. We need everybody to step up in this period. And I think in this period, we should we should even be thinking of retaining the Manchester United. Some people, this is the lifeline for them. Likes of Ugarte to step up. I think people need to step up. So guys, these are my opinions on our current situation at United. Let's see how it goes really. But I think we have to step up. And I really hope that we step up. I really, really hope that we step up. It will be amazing if we can step up and get a maximum point in our next game. And look forward to other games. So guys, these are my opinions on what we should do in our midfield and how we should set up on the pros and cons of the midfielders or midfield options that we have currently. Let me have your opinion on that. What do you think we should do? What do you think we should do, really? I think everybody, we need to get your opinions on what we should do. Thank you very much for sticking with me. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and most importantly, don't forget to share. Until I see you next time. Bye.